Welcome to this week's episode of Offsides.
Today, Adrian Peterson is out of court and may be back on the football field.
And Tom Brady has rattled off 5 straight wins, leading the Patriots to the best record in the AFC.
And LeBron James and the Cavs have struggled out of the gates, but is it time to push the panic button already?
All this and more, Offside starts right now.
I'm here with fellow analyst Peter Zampa to discuss recent news involving Adrian Peterson and the NFL. According to Texas state law, Peterson's crime was only a misdemeanor of reckless assault, resulting in 80 hours of community service. Peterson is off the hook under law, but will he be in the good graces of the NFL again? Peter, do you think he should play anytime soon?
Well, it's an interesting case because under the rules from the NFL, he should technically be allowed back in the league. He should be reinstated. But then you have to think about what kind of crime did this guy commit, and it's not just like any other job. I mean, any other job, you can go back in the workplace, people aren't going to be celebrating you everywhere you go. They're not going to be wearing your jersey around, you just go back to the workplace after committing a crime. That's fine. But this guy's going back on the national stage, and he's going to become a hero again. People tend to have short memories when it comes to athletes. So you have to understand that what he's done cannot be canonized immediately. He will come back on the field and be beloved once more. And it just doesn't make sense to me to allow this guy to come back and just fall right back into the good graces of millions of people who are wearing his jersey. Little kids everywhere, they're in love with this guy.
I definitely agree. The Vikings obviously only suspended him 1 game at first, and then once the media and the fans got involved and the sponsors pulled out, they completely changed and suspended him. And now that the ruling is done and that he only has community service and he's off the hook, it kind of gets to be a sticky situation because, like you said, the law is over. Like, he's good in the graces of the law. Right. So right now it's like, do the NFL follow the law? Do they let him play because he is technically fine? Or do they follow in their pursuit for domestic abuse in saying that it's not okay and keep him from playing?
And it's tough, too, because you have the NFL Players Association coming out and kind of going to battle for Adrian Peterson, saying, well, this guy deserves to come back. Under your rules that you created, he's allowed to come back. He's done his time, essentially, time in terms of court case and staying off the field. But you really just have to think about the effect. The NFL really needs to change its image. They really need an image change right now. Yeah. We've been talking about it for weeks. I'm tired of it. But now bringing this guy back, you're going to celebrate a man who is accused of a pretty bad crime. He beat a child. You can't let that guy come back and have people immediately forget about what he's done, because they will. So that's the issue I have. And I know the rules, and I know he should be back. But I think the NFL not reinstating him right now is the best move they've made in quite a long time.
Do you think that after this kind of blows over and maybe he finishes community service or something like that, that he'll be, do you think it's fair if he gets back in? Maybe not for the Vikings if he starts kind of fresh?
If he does his time and if he does what the law requires of him, yes, he should come back. But I like the idea of the NFL not letting him back right away when they're supposed to. I think that kind of absolves them of not everything they've done in the past months, but of wrongdoings in this case and kind of their image of letting guys off the hook right away. This would be a severe enough punishment. Keep him out for the rest of this season. Let him think about what he's done. Let the Minnesota Vikings fan base think about what this guy's done.
Yeah, slow down a little bit.
And when he finishes his time, when he finishes everything that has to do because of this crime he committed, then let him back in, because he'll have learned his lesson and he'll have taken some time to think on it as well. And I think that's the most important point.
I definitely agree. It's a tough situation either way. The NFL is going to get backlash whether they let him play sooner or if they don't let him play, because some people are obviously going to think if he's okay in the law that it's fine. But I guess we'll see what ends up happening in the next following weeks. But in more NFL news, let's switch over to the Patriots. They started off the season with a devastating loss to Kansas City, but recently they have been dominating the field. At this point, Pete, do you think they're the best NFL team in the league?
Well, it's interesting. I don't even think they're necessarily the best AFC team in the league. But before we get into this, we need to talk about the outrageous parity that's gone on this year in the NFL. I haven't seen such mediocrity in quite a while, and it's interesting because you have lesser teams kind of coming to the forefront, and the team I'm going to mention in a minute you would never have expected it in 1,000 years, and that not a minute, I'll get to it right now. The Miami Dolphins are the team that I genuinely think maybe not the best in the NFL, But right now, in the way they've played in the past 3 to 4 weeks, I think they've become one of the better teams in the league, and better than the Patriots. I mean, well, that's just a given. There's evidence to that. They beat them in the first week. But Tom Brady and company have really, revamped their season. Tom's doing a lot with less once again, and we see that. But their defense is still not up to snuff. They still gave up 400-plus yards to Peyton Manning. We just saw more evidence of Peyton Manning not playing well in Foxborough. But going back to the Miami Dolphins, you see a team that is playing fantastic defense right now. They've given up second least amount of points in the AFC. And if Ryan Tannehill continues to play like he has been, he's throwing the ball, he's running the ball, and he looks like it might have been Dan Marino some compared it to. But he's got legs and an arm that have just been fantastic lately, and his completion percentage has been fantastic. And they're turning into sort of a trap team no longer. Now they're just a good team.
Yeah.
And if you want to talk about the best team in football, you can't say the Cardinals because they've been blown out. You can't say the Broncos. They've been blown out. You can't say the Patriots. They've been blown out multiple times. But Miami has too. So that's what I'm talking about, parity and mediocrity at the same time. We just have too many
Exactly.
teams.
Right now, in the league, in the season, I feel like there's no best team. Like you said, the Broncos are 6-2. The Patriots are 7-2. You know what I mean? So they lost in the beginning, and then they've had really good games recently. But there's no standout team right now to really say, like, they're the best team in the league. Everyone has been back and forth, kind of, from losing and winning. So I feel like right now to say that the Patriots are the best, I don't think so.
And on that note, you're talking about going back and forth. You start looking at strength of schedule, and then when you go down to each team's schedule, it doesn't tell you anything because everyone's mediocre. And so you just start saying, well, they beat them, but they didn't beat them. Well,
what's the difference?
There's no difference at this point. Exactly. So you just see parity, and then you have to start looking at statistics. And when I see in these circumstances, I think it's important to look at defenses. And if you see the Miami Dolphins, they've given up very few points this year. And if their offense is rejuvenated and Ryan Tannehill is the quarterback people expected him to be, I don't think it's that outrageous for me to say that the Miami Dolphins are the best team. And the Patriots just have so much work to do on defense. And injuries haven't helped. They've had guys go down, Mayo going down, plenty of other guys going down. It just doesn't help their cause.
Yeah.
For a team who's struggled early offensively, but
Well, I see where your allegiance lies, but as we both can agree, the Patriots are not the best team in the NFL right now. There really is none, and we'll see how it goes in the rest of the season. Well, that's it for NFL today.
Another NBA season, another poor start for the Cleveland Cavaliers. This time, though, LeBron James is at the center of that controversy. After a 1-3 start, James quoted Aaron Rodgers, telling fans and media alike to just relax. I'm here with NBA analyst Nick Neville. Nick, do the fans have a right to be concerned with the Cavs' poor start?
Well, Nick, I think there is some reason for concern considering that two of the star players on this team haven't really been on winning teams in the past.
Okay.
And it was a very interesting thing to note, too, that in one of the games against the Blazers, one of the early games, LeBron seemed to be very passive in the second half. He didn't even score a point in the second half, which is totally anti-LeBron. And then Brian Windhorst of ESPN wrote an article saying he was passive to teach his team a lesson. I don't know if that's really the best strategy right now. I think they need LeBron to step up and really be that MVP candidate that he can be.
Do you buy that even in the first place, the whole I played bad so that you guys can play better? Do you buy that?
Not at all. I think it's just a case of LeBron having a bad game. And there are a lot of other people that are really killing it right now in the MVP race, and LeBron is not really in that conversation. I mean, you look at people like Anthony Davis, who's the next budding superstar, and he's bringing the Pelicans to a good place. So LeBron is really struggling right now, and I feel like that's the main reason why the team is.
So for you, what do you think the Cavs need to do, or maybe specifically, what does LeBron need to do to take this team over and to just regain his spot as the best player?
I think the worst thing that he can do is be passive. I
agree.
I think they need the LeBron who is going to score a lot of points, take up a majority of the shots for his team. And they also need Kyrie Irving to throw out an assist every once in a while. He hasn't had an assist in a game or two, so I think
he hasn't actually had an assist in 6 quarters.
It's
How about that one?
It's about time that Kyrie Irving gets an assist as your point guard. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, and I think at the end of the day, what needs to happen is LeBron needs to be a little bit more of a facilitator. And if Kyrie is not going to pass the way that he's capable of, LeBron needs to do it all. But to your point, I really think they do. He needs to just come out firing. He needs to really take assertion of the game from the opening tip. And that's the only way that they're going to get in the win column.
Absolutely, and I feel like Kevin Love will get his shots, he'll get his rebounds.
Sure.
Kyrie will get his points. If LeBron becomes that facilitator, as you had said, I think things will really turn around for them.
And I think at the end of the day, it is LeBron James. LeBron James is the best player. And of course, it's still early, and they have some time, and I think eventually they'll figure it out. But moving news back to Beantown. The Boston Celtics made news earlier this week by unveiling a new alternate gray home jersey. Offsides' own Kim O'Connell was at the Ritz-Carlton for the unveiling. It was a little bit reminiscent and futuristic at the same time.
You know, the gray is pretty cool. I feel like it's different.
We try to keep our brand fresh and relevant, right? We have not only do we have the traditionalists who've been following the Celtics for 40, 50 years, who love all that, everything that's historic and iconic about the brand, but we've got, you know, a huge fan base of young, digitally savvy fans who, you know, like new stuff, you know, so coming up with something that's new and fresh and cool for them while honoring the tradition for the traditionalists and the people who've been with the Celtics for years is kind of the goal when we do these things.
It's tight. The shorts are a lot looser and the material is different. I think it's cool. It really reminds me of college. That's how the material feels.
It's amazing looking at it, you know, and I know the fans are going to get a big key punch out of it, just as much as we are.
Our players are pretty fashionable, you know, and I actually think they like to wear something that they feel makes them look good. I think it's going to make them look good, you know. We talk to players when we're doing this, you know, we talk to Rondo, we talk to these guys about, you know, how do you feel about wearing this uniform? We get their input, and I think it's something they'll wear with Celtic pride, and I think it's something that, you know, they'll enjoy, you know, wearing, and I think if you're not wearing it every night, it makes it a little special, so the games where you do wear it, you know, become sort of a special event, and in this case, they also commemorate historic moments in Celtics history, which is kind of cool too. So that'll also sort of help the guys on the team understand, you know, some of the history and tradition that goes along with being a Celtic.
It's something different for the city. So I feel like it's a good opportunity for us. I kind of wish it said Boston instead of Celtics across, but it's cool.
Well, Nick, we heard Avery Bradley say he wishes the jersey said Boston. What do you think of that jersey?
Well, honestly, the first thing I need to say is thank God they're only going to be wearing that 6 times. That thing is atrocious. I wouldn't be caught dead wearing that sleeve jersey. I hate that thing. I just think it's the wrong time, too, for the Celtics to be making this move. They're not really getting people into the Garden for the games right now. Who do they have? They only have Rondo, who is probably going to be traded soon. So it's not really a great time to be changing the look. Like, what happened to Celtic pride? What happened to the green? I just don't get it.
Well, the Celtic pride is there. They've got links to the parquet. They've got links to the championship teams. You really don't buy into any of that?
No, I mean, as they said in the video, this is really fashionable and futuristic. We have pretty fashionable players. Like,
yeah,
okay. I don't buy that at all. Like, they say they talk to Rondo. I mean, Rondo's like this big fashion guru. He wants to like get into the fashion game. He's certainly not going to get into it with that.
Well, Nick, no, certainly not. Those jerseys aren't the best thing to look at, but they do make their debut on Black Friday. So hopefully, if nothing more, they can put a few more fans in the seats. That's all we have for NBA tonight. Thanks for watching this week's episode.
Tune in next week as we bring you the most controversial issues in sports.
If you'd like to contact us, you can email us at offsides10@gmail.com.
From our executive producers and our entire crew, have a great night.
Good night, everybody.